Welcome back, my beautiful book lovers. Today I'm going to talk about my stack of shame. And what I mean by that is the books that I should have read already and I haven't, and they've been sitting on my TBR, and I'm embarrassed to say I haven't read them yet. As someone in the book space, I read approximately 100 books a year. Yeah, that's a ton of books. So when I say I have shame about not reading these books, I have shame. I feel like everyone in the book community has some level of like stack of books that they just haven't got time to get around to, or it's just been sitting there staring at them, and for some reason you just haven't picked it up yet. And a lot of these books are ones that I know are going to be amazing reads because I have so many trusted friends in the book community that are raving about them and have been raving about them forever, and I just haven't picked them up yet. So let's get into my stack of shame, the books I haven't been around to reading yet that I probably should have. And if you can let me know in the comments which one of these you think I should read immediately next, help me get through my stack of shame because I need to start checking these books off. First up is the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. This starts with Guild, and I am like, this is probably top of my shame list because it has been on my TBR for forever. It's got like 6 books out right now, I believe, and people say that Slade is one of like the best book boyfriends out there. People slot him higher than Zayden Ryerson at times, and I am so interested in this series, but I think because I haven't gotten to it yet, and now there are like 6 books out, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, oh my god, if I dive into this world, I'm not going to put it down. And that's a good thing, but I'm intimidated for some reason. Literally, I think like all my friends in the book community have read this series and they recommend it all the time. And whenever I say I haven't read this series yet, I'm like, jail. I should be like, this is criminal activity in the book community by me to not have read the Plated Prisoner series yet. Very much some shame here. Now, I know a lot of people probably have read this one or know a lot about it, but I don't know a ton, and I'm trying not to look up too much because I like to go in as blind as I can in some cases, but I do know that the main character in this has some sort of skin ribbons, and I find that hilarious. I heard it's not as bad as it sounds, but literally like there's like skin ribbons off her, and she's like in a cage. I think that's why it's called Guild. It's like a gilded cage. Maybe I think I'm correct there, but it's supposed to be like a really immersive, incredible world. And I'm a fan of ACOTAR, Throne of Glass. Those are some of my favorite books, and I've seen people say like if you love those, there's no way you wouldn't love this series. Shame. Next up is the Gods and Monsters series, starting with the Book of Azrael. I know I really need to read this one. I think I'm hesitant because I've heard it's urban fantasy, but I have heard it's dark urban fantasy, and I love a dark romantic fantasy, ladies. I've also heard that the FMC in this is like one of the best FMCs. She's meant to be badass. She's meant to be like the really morally gray one, and there's supposed to be a ton of morally gray characters, and it's meant to be an enemies to lovers, and it has like all the things I know I would love. And I genuinely do think I'm going to be obsessed with one. I think I just keep hesitating, and maybe it is because it's urban fantasy. I don't know, but I've like have went to pick this one up a few times, and then a new book pops into my ear, and I'm like, oh, let me read that one. But I know I love this one, so just if you really want me to read this one, just yell at me because I need to. And Sue, if you're watching this, I'm sorry because I know this is one of your favorite series of all time, and I do need to pick it up. Another top of my shame list is Spark of the Everflame. This one I've also heard so many good things about. I believe the MMC's name is Luther, so the fact I know his name as well means I've been hearing recommendations for this for forever. Another one that people rank as like top tier book boyfriend material. This one has been compared to, if you like ACOTAR, then you're meant to be obsessed with this one as well. And I believe it to be true because I've seen my girl Kayla on Bookstagram and Booktok raving about this book for probably a couple of years now, to be honest. And I know I should dive in, but I'm hesitant because I also know that people say they don't really like the FMC that much. They say that DM can make some silly choices, but sometimes I don't mind that. Like I don't mind if if the main character's not making the choices that we want them to. Sometimes that keeps it interesting to me, but I definitely still plan to read this one. It's just been sitting there. Like many of these on my stack of shame. Next up is Riftborn, which then goes into Duskbound, which then leads you directly into the Ascended, which isn't directly in the same series as Riftborn, but Ascended is meant to be kind of in the same world, and I think they're interconnected if I understand correctly. People say you don't have to read Riftborn and Dustbound before Ascended, but you probably should because there's going to be Easter eggs. And I love Easter eggs, so I have to read all three. Ascended is the one I'm really, really excited about. Everyone says it's a 6-star goddamn masterpiece. Yes. I don't feel a ton of shame yet about not reading this. I feel a bit of shame, but I feel like it's been genuinely newer to my TBR. And I do have a commitment that I will start this series within the next month. I have been looking. It's meant to be one of my next eyeball reads because there's no audio available, sadly. I'm just starting a book that I already said I was going to read now. So it's meant to be after that. So I don't feel as much shame because I do have a plan to get into this. And I heard that Riftborn's a little bit slower, but then you get into Dustbound, which is meant to pick it up. And then the Ascended is meant to be just like absolutely perfection, a masterpiece. And this one is one that I've been trying not to pay attention too much to what people are saying about the plot because I really do want to go into this one more blind. But I have seen some character art. I haven't seen any spoilers, but I have seen some of the character art and it's absolutely stunning. And it has me very excited to meet some certain MMCs and some FMCs. And this one is another one that people have been screaming at me, like, why haven't you picked this up yet? And the answer is, I don't know. But I'm going to. I promise you, this one should be leaving my stack of shame shortly. Divine Rivals is also on my stack of shame, unfortunately. I believe this one is a duology, and it's supposed to be very unique. It is YA, but everyone says the romance in it is absolutely incredible. The magical elements are super unique. It's set in like they're like rivals at this paper and they're both, I think, trying to go for a promotion or something along those lines. And there's like magical typewriters and there's magical like kind of wars going on. And then it's like an enemies to lovers situation that occurs. And it's supposed to have like, I believe people have said it has a ton of yearning. It's been on my TBR for forever. I think it's one of those like young adult books that is just really done well. I've read quite a few of them, like The Cruel Prince, for example. Absolutely obsessed with that trilogy. So I know I will like this one. I know it. I just haven't got around to it yet. Let me know if you think it's worth it to start ASAP. Now, the same author, I also have another book on my stack of shame from, Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross as well. This one is relatively new to my stack of shame, and it's only on here because I believe I first heard of it in January, so it hasn't been simmering for too long, so I don't feel a ton of shame. I believe I'm going to get to this very soon on audio. I have it saved as like one of my next upcoming audiobooks. It's a standalone, and I've heard the romance in this one is absolutely incredible. Again, a level 10 yearning sensation with a really cool world. I'm very excited for this one. I can assure you it will be leaving my stack of shame very soon. So I don't feel as much shame about that, but it is meant to be a masterpiece as well. This next one I have immense shame about. This is Six of Crows. Before I even got into the Booktok, Bookstagram space and recommending books online, I had heard of this one and it was like up there on the books I was meant to read. One of my really good friends says it's one of her favorite books of like all time. The found family aspect in it I know is incredible. Even the romance elements are meant to be incredible. I believe the romance is more of a subplot, but I do know a bit more about the story because I have watched the 2 seasons of Shadow and Bone on Netflix, and I absolutely love their dynamics. I'm so sad that show got canceled because it was incredible. It was for the Romantasy girls, and they have taken it away from us. Netflix, please, please bring it back to us. I know that this would be up there as probably a favorite of mine if I read it because I just know enough about the story already. I've heard so many great things. I've heard about some of the romances. Even when I was watching the show, there was one character, Nina, and I can't remember them and see in their dynamic, but it was like, I loved it. The magical elements I loved. And then also, of course, the 2 romance between like the main characters is absolutely like heart-achingly beautiful. You can see that in the show. I've heard they casted perfectly. So like, bring it back, please. And then I also just need to read it because I know it'll be incredible. Now, I do dabble sometimes in some dark romance, but only more of like a lighter dark romance. I haven't went like headfirst into the deep end of dark romance, but I have dipped my toes into the kiddie pool, if you know what I mean. So with Dark romance, I do have one that has made my stack of shame, and that is Butcher and Blackbird, because I have seen people across like all genres of Booktok raving about it. It mixes a love story with murder. So I think that sounds very intriguing. And apparently the audio is like one of the best audiobooks out there. I believe it's dual narration. I would have to double check that. But I have heard the audio is absolutely incredible, and I trust that it is. And I've just heard that this is like a really, really good romance and is a lot of fun. And yeah, romance and murder. That sounds interesting to me. Another one that has been on my list for years is The Hurricane Wars. This one, I believe, is for me because it is like a very epic fantasy world with an enemies to lovers romance inside of it. And I really love some immersive world building. If you know me, you know I go hard for books like When the Moon Hatched, books that really take and create this really incredible, unique world. I love when there's time and detail into the world building. I've heard The Hurricane Wars has incredible world building and is like a really immersive epic fantasy with a romance that's incredible. So I have been staring at it. I think I'm hesitant because like When the Moon Hatched, apparently that girl is thick and is gonna grow some muscles if you get the paperback version. You'll get some gains while you're reading it. So I think I'm just a little intimidated by how thick she is, but we'll get there. And lastly, another book that I have serious shame about not reading yet is Once Upon a Broken Heart. I have heard this is absolutely incredible. You guys, it's meant to be super dreamy and whimsical, and the deals are between like the FMC and the MMC, and there's some sort of kiss involved with it. And the MMC is supposed to be a very tortured soul in a sense, but he's toxic and he's hot, I guess. And it's meant to just be a fantastic slow burn yearning in this like really whimsical, beautiful world. So I'm very, very interested in this one, and I've seen so many people raving about it. I have FOMO for the fact that I haven't read it yet, and I know I have a feeling it's going to be incredible. So I do really want to read this one. I believe it's in the same world as Caravel. I've also heard some really cool things about Caravel, I think I'm saying that right. That one's meant to have like some games involved in it. That one I also haven't read. I don't know if I'd put it in my shame list yet because I haven't heard as many people raving about it as I have heard them raving about Once Upon a Broken Heart. So it hasn't made my stack of shame yet. But if you think I also should read that, then let me know. That's all the shame I can take in one day. These books I am incredibly embarrassed to have not read yet. And there's some that I promise I'm getting to right away. And the rest I know I need to read. And I'm going to try and read all of these before the end of the year. But my TBR has a mind of its own, and I often abandon it entirely and go rogue on that thing. So if you think any of these books need to be like my next immediate read, please let me know in the comments. Please shame me some more into reading them. I can take it. Just tell me which one of these you think I definitely need to prioritize as like my number one next read. If you've read any of these, let me know which was your favorites. And make sure to like and subscribe, ladies, because I'm back every week, baby. And I will be reading these, and eventually I'll review them for you. So thanks for watching, and see you next week.